Bam! I know you people missed me. It's been a couple weeks. How we doing, everybody? So good to see you, or not see you yet. Um, if you're out there, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good shit. If you watch it later on, if you're there right now, uh, please again comment, share, do all that kind of great stuff. I am gonna edit the audience, make sure everyone can see that, and then I'll be able to see all you people when you decide to start. Sarah, girl, see, isn't it nice to not be banned? So good to see you, Ed. That's great. I'm gonna have me a quick drink. We have a great guest going on tonight. A local for me, and we've worked together on several things. Just a really good dude. Adrian Petty's in the house. Oh, we're gonna have a lot of fun. I've seen that he's been doing the circuit lately, and oh yeah, you want me to put up some Canadian bacon? You know what? Just for you, just because I'm a big fan of yours. There you go, brother. Just for all the love there. There you go. Hope everyone's doing good. Yeah, man, we're gonna have, as always, we're gonna have another really great evening. If you guys have any great questions, our guest tonight, he's worked on some amazing books. He and I worked together on Appalachian Assassin. We're also working on a follow up to that, like a cool group book, team book. And then he's done tons of other stuff. You can find them all over Amazon and everything. Appalachian Assassin is actually published through Marcosia. So he's making some moves. He's doing some sweet stuff. So you know what? We have a good fair amount of you guys here. Why don't we start up the show, get to chatting, and we'll see where we go from there. So without any more further ado.
Canadian bacon is actually really good, and it's nothing like normal bacon, and it's better than ham, which you guys seem to call Canadian bacon. I'm very good at writing. I write very well. Yeah, it's Shop Talk.
Do some of your audience members like the word fuck? Cool, then I'm going to keep saying fuck, because I care.
What's going on, Adrian?
Hey, how you doing, Chuck?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
It's all good here. It's all good.
Oh, Trish, thank you. And you too are my sexy bitch. Thank you. Dude, I've been on for over a year now, actually like a year and a half, never had you on. That is a serious miscalculation on my behalf, and I'd like to apologize.
Yeah,
right
seriously,
up the gate.
man. What the fuck? I thought we were buddies.
That's good. I love it. What the fuck, man? You know what? It's so funny because when we do this show, I'm usually not like actively trying to get people to push stuff, because I know that those shows, like, I hate sitting down and watching a show where we're just going to talk about someone's Kickstarter for 2 hours. And I'm like, fuck that. But I like to do it when they do have something going on. And the problem is you don't do a lot of Kickstarters. Actually, have you ever done it? No?
Zero. I've never done crowdfunding.
Have you thought about it?
No. It's not my thing.
I get it. It's a lot. Like, my wife is working on one right now. And I was like, hey, you going to watch the show? And she's like, no, I'm not. I have to get my Kickstarter page all set up. Oh, there she is. Speaking of Kickstarter, I'm working on my page. So she did sneak out for a second to watch us. But yeah, dude, I mean, just watching her having to do it. And I mean, obviously I've had to make my own. Yeah. I respect you for not going that route.
I mean, if that's what works for people, that's what works for people. You know, do what you do to get your work out there. But for me, it's just never been my preferred method of operation.
No, I totally feel you, man. I completely get that. And yeah, like there's some people who I might be like, you should maybe consider Kickstarter, but actually you do quite well on your own, so do what you're doing, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with what I do for the time being. Maybe one down the road, but for now, no.
Right? No, and I feel you. So you and I, we're both in Texas right now, probably about an hour or so away from each other. We met because we were sort of working on someone else's project that sadly never came to fruition. But
Yeah, that was interesting.
it was interesting. And actually, I would say what is cool about that is that two of my best buddies in comics, you and Douglas Brown, both met on that particular book.
That's
So
true.
I
So
I like that.
yeah, some good did come
It
out of
did
that.
something. It did. It did. Yeah, something good came out of it. So that's something. But yeah, we've done shows together. You and I have ended up in some
Hmm.
weird place like Temple, Texas, of all
Yes.
places, at a pizza place, which was, by the way, that pizza was really fucking good.
Oh, that was like a stuffed, not
Yeah,
just the crust, but I mean the whole thing was like a almost like a pie. A
I have
stuffed.
a picture of that pizza. It was that good. Like,
Yes, it
saved.
was
Yeah.
really good.
And what a weird place to go to Temple, Texas, of all places, and just be like, holy shit, that's like, and it's different. Like it was, I'd never had a pizza like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, there's a pizza. Pizza. Speaking, because you mentioned the picture, there is a picture of you and I eating that pizza together on social media. On I know for a
Nice.
fact it's on our Facebook page at Jericho Projects, and
That's right.
it might be on the Instagram.
That's sweet. So let's go into it then. Let's go into. We already talked about our connection. Let's go into you. So tell us a
Okay.
little bit about what you've done. Yeah, what you've done.
Okay. Uh, well, I first started Jericho Projects in 2000, so that was what
Wow.
22 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost, well, going on 22 years ago. And our first books, and I'm just going to run through that first few years. The first three books we did were horrible, and I don't even mention those anymore. They're not even for sale anywhere. And the few people that have them probably wish they didn't. But the good thing about those three books that we did was that it was a learning process.
Yeah.
Because the first thing you learn in any business venture, if you really want to succeed, is you got to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You have to not be afraid to make mistakes, and then you have to learn from those mistakes. And I made a lot of mistakes with those three books. And I think you already know this part of the story. The last show that I was doing, um, I had ran into someone, and at this point, I want to back it up a little bit. At this point, I was kind of big feeling because I had actually gotten a distribution deal for the book, regardless of how bad it was with Haven Distribution. Because this was at the time where Diamond didn't monopolize everything.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, oh, well, hey, I guess I'm coming there. I'm there, even though nobody's buying my book. And I ran into someone at a show I was doing, which was actually a horror festival, but they had they had allowed me to come in and set up. Brian Polito. And some folks will know that's the guy who does Lady Death and Evil Ernie. And I had just asked him for some advice, specifically on animation and what kind of advice he could offer me. He looks at my table, he sees my book, and then he points to two chairs and he says, Adrian, sit down. And I'm just thinking, oh.
Yeah.
And for about 45 minutes, we talked, and he's pretty much given me just the complete stone cold truth about what was wrong with what I was doing and some of the mistakes he made. Because some of y'all know he'd lost control of some of his own characters for a
Yeah.
while. And the last thing he said to me was, "You need to take a break of maybe a year because I don't want to run into you a few years from now selling the same stuff." And my heart was broken. My ego was just completely shattered. But as I thought about it, I realized that it wasn't about my ego and it wasn't about my feelings. It was about the truth and it was about business.
Yeah.
Because when you do comic books, the, the reality, most of it is business. You think, oh, I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to write a cool book. I'm going to write a cool graphic novel. And yeah, and you're in this fanboy mindset, and you should be.
Yeah.
But that's a segment of it. That is a portion of what we do. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with you, Chuck, because I know you know there's a business side.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
And you got to be able to manage that business side. You got to know how to market your product. You got to be able to finance your product. You got to be able to work with the right people. And you got to know how to look at your deals and work your deals and figure out how to get your material out there. And because we live in a world of Batman and the X-Men. And if you're an independent, nobody cares about you. So to
yeah.
get back to the story about me, because I got sidetracked there, he told me to take a year off. I actually took 4 years off.
Oh,
And I came back in around 2008 and had a new book called Miss Johnny. And that was about a woman who was unhappily married, had 2 children, and she's a plus size woman, so she's dealing with some weight issues, she's dealing with some self-esteem issues, and she's just on the verge of taking her own life. And one of her children gets kidnapped. What do? The cops are of no help. She's in a marriage that's really bad, but she doesn't give up hope. And so she starts training and she gets one clue from a son. And this son, by the way, she's having issues with because the son reminds her of her husband that she doesn't like. But the son gives her one clue that she goes on. And after Miss Johnny has lost some weight, and after Miss Johnny has gotten her little money together and did a little martial arts training, she goes out on a mission to find her missing daughter. And that is a 4-issue story arc that took 4.5, 5 years to do. um, but that was the first time I actually did something that I realized connected with an audience.
yeah,
And one of the best feelings is when you put out a book and like you're at a convention and you put the book out and someone gets like issue 1 or whatever, and 20 minutes later they come back, where's issue 2? And like, glad you like it. I don't have it yet.
right.
If you're Marvel or DC, you can put out the next issue in 30 days. I had to wait a whole year to put out the next issue. And once again, preaching to the choir. But that was a good experience. And I followed it up with a one-shot, Avoria. Avoria is a book that's done in what's called a fumetti style. And if you're familiar with 70s style book comics, Fumetti is a style where everything is done with photography.
Mm.
And because I've always had an interest in photography. In fact, I should probably be showing you these books because, oh, I just happen to have one here.
There you go.
Yeah, how convenient is that, huh?
Right? It's almost like you had this ready to go.
Yeah, it's almost like I planned this out.
You know, while you're going through that, Paul actually asked a really good question. He says, "Did it scare you taking a break that you might not get back into comics?"
No,
Yeah.
no. And I may not be like a whole lot of other people because since we're on this topic, um, I hear a lot of people say, when should I give up on my dreams? Or when should I quit? Or when is a good time to know when you're being unrealistic? And the way that I answer that question is, if you're thinking like that, you need to give up right now because you're wasting your time. And you're wasting time with anybody you might be working with.
Yeah.
So I've never claimed to be the best writer or best illustrator or best photographer. And I mean, I know in a lot of instances, I look at my stuff and I'm like, I could be so much better. But it's not really a matter of comparing yourself to other people, or it's not really a matter of, for me, not having a drive or a gumption to do what I do, because I've been doing it off and on for 20 years. It's a matter of being better than I was yesterday.
Yes.
And that's really my own measuring stick, because I will not compare myself to someone else. And if I have a goal, if it takes me writing one sentence a day, then I'm going to write one sentence a day in a book. A little progress is better than no progress. So I never had, and Sarah is dead on correct. You don't have an expiration date.
Yeah.
And I never had a fear of not ever doing it, even if I was just going to write one sentence a day, because that was a sentence I didn't have yesterday.
So, real quick, Trish asked, and a couple people have already asked, can you please share your website to get some of your stuff? Are you an Amazon guy, or can they get it straight from your site?
You can get it straight from my site, jerichoprojects.com. Now, that being said, jerichoprojects.com is not necessarily friendly to mobile devices. So if you want to get a direct link where you can just click, you can go. Is there a place where I could type in the comments?
Well, you can put it in the comments and I can show it up, or I can do something. You want me to put, what do you want me to write?
Okay, here's the link to give her a direct answer.
Okay.
allmylinks.com.
Oh, that's all my links.
allmylinks.com /Jericho Projects. So if you go there, you'll have a direct link to my books.
Okay. Bam. How's that?
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So there you go, guys. You also, obviously, you can go to Amazon and you can look up Adrian Petty. That's how I found some of your stuff. I don't. The only way I know one of your books I don't remember the name of it, but the only way I remember it is by the twist that I obviously can't tell because I want people to figure it out themselves. Let's just say it has a little bit of a religious aspect to it.
Hmm. I have grown up in the church, and I know, especially in the comic book world, there are a lot of people that are very anti-church, anti-religious, or whatever. And if you were to put a label on the way that I view my faith, some would say it's evangelical. Um, but I'm going to say this. I'm the evangelical guy that showed up to church with bondage bracelets. And I'm serious, I would wear them to church. And nobody knew what they were. So,
Perfect.
yeah, even better.
Hey, Terry, the link is right, like scrolling down below. So right below us, it says allmylinks.com/Jericho Projects. There it is. Yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry, you were saying.
So, yeah, the religion has always played or spirituality has always played a part in what I do. That being said, if you've ever heard of that comic book Bible Man, I don't do that kind of stuff.
You don't.
And Chuck, you know I don't do that kind of stuff.
No, I do. And that was the funny thing is that like I remember the religious aspect of it, but I also remember it wasn't a choke you on because I mean I grew up in the church and I I enjoy sort of the mythology of it and the spiritualism and all that kind of stuff. But there's just like you can go way over the line, and of course we've seen it, Bible Man and stuff like that. This is not that though. Like I thoroughly enjoyed what you did with that book, and how you were able to weave um, the Christianity into it without making it feel. It didn't feel like a Christian book. It didn't feel like something you could only buy at a Christian bookstore. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I liked about that.
In fact, you probably wouldn't be able to buy it at a Christian bookstore because they wouldn't carry it. I'll show you something here.
So Martin Piero is here and he says, this is the first time I'm seeing this dude, but I'm absolutely loving everything he's saying.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. I'm going to show you Euphoria, which is, by the way...
Here, let's do the solo layout. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a story about an angel. The angel is based on my wife, by the way. And this is the Fumetti format that I was talking about. And she has a talk with... Avoria is having a talk with a character named Jolene, a young Asian woman. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to go ahead and give away a little bit of a secret here. Jolene is actually God. Because I had heard so many things about, oh, is God black or white? And what kind of a man is God? And I decided I'm going to show God as an Asian woman. And fry a few brain cells with that one.
Martin's gonna look you up, he says. So good.
Oh, cool.
And Terry says, I got asked to travel with Billy Graham's gospel. Looking back, I wish I had done it. I mean, that would actually be an interesting, like, even just to say that you did it. So yeah, actually, I think that would be an interesting opportunity just to see what that meant. He's got an interesting story, anyways.
Yeah, it does. Billy Graham's a very interesting persona. He definitely did a lot for the faith and the way people perceive the faith. Are there any particular biblical stories that influence some of your stories? Yes. And I'm trying to think of how I could tell this without like giving away the farm. um, but in another book, some book y'all might
Yeah,
have
that's
gotten
the one.
mentioned. There are definitely biblical references in here, though I do not actually quote a single Bible verse. And in fact, I actually quote in the very first page, I quote the Art of War, which is another thing that influences me. Far Eastern thought, Taoism really fascinates me. But with this particular lead character, Jo Betty English, her storyline is I want to give kind of a tease. The whole idea of resurrection is directly intertwined in Appalachian Assassin. I'll just say that.
And that resurrection, it also has almost like a reincarnation feel to it. You know what I mean? Just in the fact that I know that it is still the same body, but she, it is such a different feeling to that character afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The character is well. There's an old Native American saying: "A man never steps into the same river twice." And the lead character in Appalachian Assassin, she is the same person, but she really isn't.
Yeah.
She's evolved. She's learned some things she's learned from her husband, some things she's learned on her own. And one of my favorite biblical Bible verses is you have to work out your own salvation with much fear and trembling. And basic to me, that just means that you need to find your own path. Whether you're Christian, whether you're not Christian, you need to learn how to find your own way. And that's kind of what I do when I write. People learning to find their own way and learning how to forgive themselves. Because ultimately, I follow the path of Stan Lee. He never wrote about, to me, he didn't write about Spider-Man. He wrote about Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He wrote about people with problems and what they do to work through those problems. And you don't have a good story without a good bad guy. And the bad guys also are just problems. They choose to deal with them in a completely different way. And like Appalachian Assassin had a bad guy, if you want to call him that. Well, he did some things that were horrible. I'll definitely say that. But and that person is Jo Betty English's husband, who trained her, but he definitely did some very repugnant things.
That was actually really tough on me to edit, because as I'm going over it, I'm going, ooh, like I see what he's trying to do here, but it's a tough sell. Like it was very, it wasn't graphic necessarily, but you were well aware of what had happened, and it was rough. I think rough is probably the best way to describe it. And I think, I mean, all we could kind of do is just clean it up as much as possible, because it did need to be dirty. What happened was terrible,
And I'm going to tell you a secret I never told you, Chuck, regarding the book. Sherry, the colorist,
Mm-hmm.
When she read the script for the first time, she almost backed out of it because she was so repulsed.
Wow.
I had to make a promise to her that I was going to write a follow-up and address some things that she didn't like. Which, by the way, I did. There is an Appalachian Assassin Part 2. It's a rough draft. You haven't seen it. This is going to be your next fucking project, by the way. I'm just springing this on you.
Good show. Okay, I'm down. I loved that book. I shared it around and talked about it. I love that book. And I got to meet. You had that's something that I like about you is that you had a really great fucking team on that book.
Mm-hmm.
Carl X, rest in peace.
God bless, rest his soul.
Yeah, he did amazing work, and what I loved. So when we were working with Adrian had a Facebook Messenger group that he would keep up with all of us, all in that one group, and not every once in a while, a lot, it would just be us shooting the shit, having a good time. Really got I've never met and worked so close with the entire team as I got to in that book. Summer Dale was in there. She did that cover. I love that fucking cover. I love her
Summer
work.
Dale is so skilled. Oh, that girl
right?
is skilled.
She's ridiculous. Dude, if you guys haven't seen Summer Dale's work, go check it out. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah,
what she does is amazing.
She is my girl. That's my girl.
I told her, I said, you will be doing a cover for me at some point. It just has to be the right thing. I don't want to just throw her on anything. I don't just want to get her to do a Belial. Whatever it is going to be special.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Your girl Terry here. She's like, please send her the link.
Chuck, would you send me the link? I can't see it and it's dark. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Terry, you know what? I'll actually DM it to you. So, yes, I will get that to you. I'm sorry. So what else did we did have some questions. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get you to answer one of the questions while I send her the link. But what was it? Brian asked, oh, no, that was already a question. Oh, did you ever find it interesting how the art of Jesus has American facial features? He was Jewish and wouldn't have looked that way at all.
Oh, indeed. And I actually got into a debate with an elder at church about a picture they put up of Jesus. And I asked, why is that up here? And he agreed with me that we really don't know what he looked like. Yeah, he's probably a short, olive-skinned man with dark curly black hair, and he probably wasn't very attractive, if you believe what Isaiah said. He probably wasn't very physically attractive. Yeah, he most definitely did not look like the lead singer of the Bee Gees. But
that's good.
But yeah, I as far as those type of images of Jesus, I just whatever. You know, people like to make their God look like them. Ultimately.
Yeah. That's why you know what? First off, I love the reaction that it gets out of certain types of people, but I love a good black Jesus. I mean, first off, like you said, you know, we like to see things that look like us. But I also like how, like I said, certain aspects react to that. He wasn't Jew, or he wasn't black. Yeah, he also wasn't North American. So maybe calm your tits a little bit, buddy.
And that's one of the reasons I made God Asian.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw all that away.
No, I like that. Yeah, see, we're getting tons of laughs in here. So, yeah, I love that book, and I'm really glad, by the way, that you're doing the follow-up. And you and I are already working on something, but that's a teen book that will have surrender in it, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Joe Betty English,
Yeah.
aka Surrender, Appalachian Assassin, is well is making her way on a team. I'm a big fan of team books. I grew up on Avengers and X-Men, and later on I got into Justice League. Uh, and but yeah, the team dynamics and how people get along when they're in a situation where they need to work together and they don't always mesh, they don't always agree, and one person may go this way. And I've always been a big fan of that. So this is a team book. I started writing it in a long, well, the characters I started developing when I was 12. And over the years, they just kind of evolved into what they will be when that book comes out. Hopefully sooner rather than later. It's going to take a while. That's going to be interesting. But I want to show y'all something if I can find it here. And I did find it. Oh, how convenient. How
I
convenient.
thought we were on this long journey, and you're like, oh, there it is.
Okay. This is the latest book, Decadence and Avoria,
Ooh.
which is also on all my links. And this is what I call a photo novel. By the way, Jolene makes an appearance in this book as well. And you've got photography and you've got everything written in prose. There are no word balloons to be found at all. And Avoria makes another appearance. Jolene is talking to Avoria. And Decadence is a character whose real name is Maxwell Lightfoot. Now, Maxwell Lightfoot is a newly minted demon hunter. And he was trained by another person.
Yeah, that's the first one I read.
Mm-hmm. And this is the one that Chuck is alluding to, has that big, huge twist in it. About who Darius Key actually is. And if you know your Bible, I'll give you a little hint. What if someone who betrayed someone 2,000 years ago for 30 pieces of silver got a second chance?
If you don't get that, don't tell me that you read the Bible, okay? If you don't get that, and it's fine if you haven't read the Bible, but don't tell me you have if you don't get that little bit of trivia. Come on, people.
And just so you know, I'll photo novel format again.
Yeah.
And I'm playing Darius Key because I was broke, couldn't afford any other actors. So I said, I'll just put myself in this.
I thought it was well. So, you know what? That's a good question though, because you've done the photo novels and you've done the regular style comic.
Yeah, regular style book.
Budget wise, what's easier on the wallet?
Well, the books with photography are easier to do. And in terms of finances, they're definitely easier to do. They're harder to sell because it's not a format that distributors want to work with. They don't want to mess with that. They do kind of light up faces when you're in a convention setting because people who are in conventions are the hardcore fans. They a lot of them are in there because not just because they want Batman and X-Men, but because they want to see something different. And they're a nice way to get people's faces to light up.
Yeah.
And Steph, I was just distracted here. Bible could use some sexy variant coverage.
You know what? Steph Wilson, I gotta say about Steph Wilson, great dude, loves to shit talk me, which is terrific because I can dish it, and obviously I can take it as well. But my mom was here for the week, and she was like, "I like your show, but some of those people are mean to you." And I was like, "Oh no, mom, we've got a friendly rivalry thing going on. It's all meant very well." She's like, "Oh, so you're good with it?" I was like, "Yeah, they're not being mean to me at all. I trust me. I've said terrible things to them too. We're good." And so I had to explain it to my mom. It was just like, "Oh my god, they're terrible." And you show those comments off too. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, because they're funny." Like, genuinely. Like, come on, sexy variant Bible covers. That's fucking brilliant,
That's something else. And
right?
it's interesting you say that because the character of Jolene,
Hmm.
she's got the the tightest top on and the shortest shorts on here, and she's playing God,
Yeah.
right? I wanted to like, God, will you please zip up your top? But that was her idea, okay, not mine.
Well,
But
no, sorry, keep going.
but I will not, I don't know about the sexy variant covers. We're gonna
Right?
for it, but
Well, so what I would say is I actually felt like your work had inspired me because then when I went to do Belial,
mhm,
which was a concept that was given to me, I wanted to kind of go as deep in as I could and really bring up a lot of really cool sort of like touchstones that didn't necessarily shove the Christianity down your throat, but went, "Oh, okay, this guy at least knows what he's talking about." Like I was raised in the church, but a lot of that, like you don't necessarily go deep in. And so I got to
mhm.
do some research, learn about like some of the other fallen angels, not just Lucifer and stuff, and go into that and touch upon them and such. And so that was a lot of fun. I really like to be able to do that. So that was something that you kind of inspired by looking at what you've done with Darius and everything else, and kind of going, man, he played with some stuff that nobody else is really touching. And I mean, even in this in the most recent Belial that we're working on now, I got to I had a photo album, and you see Belial and some of his friends hanging out at very pivotal moments, like the moment when Adam and Eve get kicked out of the garden, and they're in the background, kind of making faces and shit. And just had a lot of fun with it. So yeah, man.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that can be delved into when you're looking
Yeah.
at this type of material. Um, and that kind of leads to a question, and Paul Gomez, forgive me, I skipped over
Yeah.
that. I wanted to address what you had asked me. Um,
This one is this the question you were talking about?
yeah, and the answer, and well, you didn't really ask the question, but obviously, yeah, I do like to go to the edge, and sometimes I go over the edge. But uh, if you don't have something to say uh, that is gonna push someone to the edge, or well, I'll say it like this. I'll say it like this. I've heard it said that some people don't like certain types of art because it evokes certain passions in people. And my response to that is if you have an art that isn't evoking a sort of a passion to in people, why are you doing art? What is
And
the
is
point?
it art?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything against uh, a picture of a bowl of fruit or a landscape or whatever. But if you're really gonna, but I don't want to do hotel art either. I want to
Right.
do something like that's going to be kind of subtle, but really push the envelope. You know that picture American Gothic where
Hmm.
it just has the farmer standing next to he's holding the pitchfork and he's got his little bifocals on and he's got his wife standing next to him. And most people think it's his wife, but it's not. It's actually his daughter. And his daughter is, and the whole story behind it is that his daughter is beyond the age of bearing children and she's probably never going to get married. And she's stuck there with her father until he's gone. And then once he's gone, she's got nothing. And I like things like that. I like things that are kind of subtle but just gripping, that do make you think, that do make you go, oh. And I'm going to answer that question. Did I get pushback? Yes, I did. Definitely, I did. I was at one show where people were looking at some of the Teshuva books I did, and he looked at it and he's like, because Teshuva is it's a Hebrew word. It means literally it means to turn or to turn around, but it more figuratively it means repent. He looked at the picture and he's like, that doesn't look like she's repenting to me. And it was actually a picture of Joveti English.
Ah,
And the guy that had worked on the book with me said, but you haven't read it yet. And that's one thing that really bothers me about people in this Christian faith. And it's something that I don't have to tell people, but you know, people in this faith can be really judgmental, especially when they don't have all the facts.
yeah.
He 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 pushed a judgment on it, and when he hadn't even read the book. I had another woman who looked at a book I did, didn't even open the book and said, that is not of God, and walked away. And there were things that, and you know, what can you do? Because you're
Yeah.
not going to please everybody.
But you know what? You at least want to please the people who are going to put in some effort. And if this
Hmm.
person was just going to look at it and go, that's not of God and walk away, cool. I was probably never going to win you over, anyways. Like, you weren't really going to put the time and the thought into seeing if this was for you. You decided it like that. So great. You're not wasting your time on me. And luckily, I'm not wasting my time on you. So I
Exactly.
think those people kind of weed themselves out, which is kind of nice.
They do. And I'm going to go a little further with his question about me pushing the envelope. You know how that person who betrayed his master died. And I play that person. In the very first page of Who is Darius Key, I'm holding a noose.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wow, I never went back and looked again. That's brilliant.
yeah, the black guy holding a noose. And I was wondering if I was going to show up on any kind of FBI search list because I actually went on Google and searched how do you make a noose
Wow.
because I did, yeah, and I was intentionally going to just to kind of piss people off or push
Right?
buttons, something. But
That's great. Oh man.
go ahead.
Well, not Terry had said, Chuck, I would love to read that. Well, thank you. Bilal too. You might actually own it because I know that you collect a lot of Steph Wilson art, and he did the cover for issue 2, but issue 3 and all the rest will be coming to Kickstarter probably later this summer. So you're gonna get your opportunity. And Steph says Belial in hotel nightstands in 2023. Yeah, yeah. Gideon is going to be selling Belial and giving it out to all the hotels. Uh, Sam, dude, Sam, always good having you on board, man. Much love to you. Do you prefer writing fiction or nonfiction stories?
I only write fiction. I was actually asked to write. My mother asked me to write her biography, and she had asked me for years to write her biography. And finally, I had said, okay, I'll do it. I will write it. And she lived in Alabama. I went home that weekend to sit and discuss the basic layout. And that weekend, I was there Friday night, Saturday morning. She passed away
Oh man.
before I could even start the story. So what I decided to do was I started taking elements of her life and weaving it into a story that I was working on anyway, in order to keep that promise, if you will, that I would help write her story, because I will never have all the necessary details to write a straight biography. I'm just going to kind of write it in the form of a fiction narrative in order to accomplish that goal.
Yeah. Man. Well, I mean, that's beautiful though that you were still able to do that. Like my so between Belial 2 and Belial 3, during the Belial 2 campaign, my partner Sean, his grandfather passed away. And
Oh,
then
wow.
yeah, and that was rough. And then between then and now, my stepdad passed away. So I
Mm.
decided, why don't we get the two of them together? Because our main um, our main kind of source of humor, and it's a humor book. Like there's still a serious story to it, but there's it's supposed to be a comedy book, and our main hero is separated from our main source of comedy. So it's like, what are we going to do? So we brought the two of those guys into hell and kind of played them off basically as like the old curmudgeons from the Muppet Show.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so we had a lot of fun with that. So we got to bring them in, and I've been sharing that with my family, with my mom. Kind of showed her because my stepdad, he was a Navy man. He loved to curse, and I was like, all right, cool. This might be the best book to bring you in for then. So, you know, I've been trying to share that with her and make sure her family's good, show off,
Hmm.
any of the art, and everyone's happy. So it's been fun. But yeah, man, I feel you. Sometimes we can't tell the story, so you just tell as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Oh,
Sarah.
hello.
I wonder how many people know that the original Bible had porn in the margins. I thought that was just Steph Wilson's Bible. I didn't know.
mm,
I didn't know that was a thing.
you read Song of Solomon, a lot of that is, if it was actually enacted the way it was written, it definitely would be erotic.
Oh wow.
Mm. but we digress.
Right? Brian, he says, have you thought about introducing stories and concepts from other religions or sticking mostly with what you're most familiar?
We did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Appalachian Assassin, we introduced Taoism, tenets of Taoism in that. The ideas of being and existing and yeah, not being void and meditation. And yeah, we did that because yeah, Taoism is something else that has also fascinated me. I think I said that, but yeah, definitely did. And
Yeah.
I've been kind of studying Islam as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how if I could ever worm that in there, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel you. And I mean, yeah, all we can do is what, like what we know that we can pull off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Art is anything you can get away with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Terry asked, I'm going way down here. She lost her dad last year. So our
I'm sorry
condolences.
to hear that.
That's
Yeah.
rough. But she said, I don't think I have Belial 1. Hit me up. I might be able to find an extra digital copy to fire your way. So send me a message and I'll do what I can, hon, because you're great. Yeah, a writer's search history, possibly dangerous. If your search history isn't dangerous, I say you're writing wrong. I say you. Are you with me on that one, Adrian?
Can I get a witness? Pass the collection plate.
It's so, dude, seriously. And I mean, even as an editor, I have had to be like, is that real? And you look up some shit and you're like, oh yeah, that guy did his research. Actually, speaking of that, one story that I love the best from Appalachian Assassin, it was something I know very little about American history, being not American, and especially Jim Crow era
Mm-hmm.
history. And
Mm-hmm.
you brought up in that book the reason why African Americans enjoy fried chicken so much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And hearing that story, I was like, holy shit, that was so interesting. I feel like to me, that's the sign of good writing when you're able to take these really interesting little points and weave them into a bigger narrative. You're not just trying to show off that you have knowledge. You're like, no, this character, this is something that comes up naturally, and you're able to kind of show off this interesting tidbit. And I love that. And I tell that story whenever anyone mentions fried chicken. I'm like, do you know where that actually comes from? Because it's really interesting.
Yeah, there's a historical precedent for why Black people have been so engrossed, or I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, so attached to fried chicken.
Yeah.
But I found out something very interesting. White folks love fried chicken too.
Love it. Love it. Alfie, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah. But
oh yeah, no,
yeah.
huge fan.
Hello, Alfie. How you doing, my brother? But since we're on that topic of I do address issues of race, but I've never wanted to make it a focal point of what I do. Because I think that Black people are more than just our pain. We are more than just victims. We deal with the same shit white folks do. I mean, we have issues with family, with self-esteem, and money problems. Same stuff, y'all deal with. We deal with, and I was more interested in showing people being people, and not necessarily Black people or white people or Native American people. So
I love that you mentioned that because I've never done it on the show, but early on, I think it was I think it was my second episode. I had a female creator come on, and I said, "Is there any questions you don't want to be asked?" And she said, "Yeah, for the love of God, don't ask me about the female perspective on everything. I'm a female, I'm one female, but honestly, I'm more than just that. So I don't want to be, the person that you're going to ask. So as a woman, how do you feel about the comic business or any of that bullshit?" And I was like, "Oh, cool. That's really good to know because that is absolutely somewhere
mhm.
I'm sure I would have tripped into." And I've tried to keep that going all along. So here we are, not talking to Adrian about the black experience as a comic creator, because what I'm getting is Adrian's experience as a comic creator, and part of that is him as a black man, and part of that is so much more. And I think
Mhm.
learning that early on helped me a lot to be able to, I think, sidestep a lot of landmines and just be able to be like, yeah, we're all people. Let's let's find your individual take on what these things are and what everything means. And I think that's helped a lot. And I just find it's a lot more interesting when you're able to do that.
It is a lot more interesting, and I think we listen a lot more because when we start talking about the things that I've gone through and
I'm
you know
barely people.
barely people.
Sorry.
It's okay. I think it's more interesting rather than to focus on things that make me a victim. It's what are the things that make me more of a person that you can relate to?
Yeah.
What are the things that can build bridges instead of tear them apart? And
Yeah.
ultimately, that's what I want to do. I want to build bridges and get people talking.
Yeah. And I definitely think you've done that through your work. Like, I mean, like I said, anyone who sits down and actually reads this stuff, and hopefully you guys do pick up some of these pieces. See, Sean says, "Well, your voice is a good start, my dude." Yeah,
Well, thank you, brother.
man.
Yeah,
I
and
think,
that's one of the if you notice, there's a lot of my books have female leads, and I because I try to focus on them as people and not as that's who happen to be women and not just women first. Um, and I do it kind of therapeutically because a lot of times I just don't understand women. And I'm not saying that in a bad way because a lot of women definitely baffle me, but I think that's not just me, that's just men in general.
oh yeah,
Um, women baffle
my
men, and yeah, I just write like that because I want to understand more, and it has helped me to understand more. Go ahead,
my
Sean.
favorite thing that you do, and guys, if you don't necessarily pick up his books, though I think you should, check out his Facebook. He does this great thing called Life with Stacy. Stacy's his wife. She is a fantastic, amazing creature, such a great lady, and you tell all these amazing stories about her because, of course, she's French Canadian. She views things differently, and it's a lot of
Mhm.
fun. And you also, of course, have Life with Adrian because you tell stories where sometimes you're the one who's kind of like not
Yeah.
fully understanding everything that's going on, and that's a lot of fun. So yeah,
Hmm.
even if you can just tune into him to see those stories, they're so much fun.
Yeah, I just try to take some of the just basic things out of life and just kind of relate them that sometimes just the things that happen in our regular life are just so hilarious when you actually sit down and think about them. Like, really? And my wife Stacy, I will definitely give her all the credit in the world. She is a far more talented writer than me. She doesn't believe me when I say it. She thinks I'm just kind of making it up so she'll give me some, but I'm being dead serious. She is just brilliant. Um, and I really want her to actually do some kind of a project at some point
Mm.
because I love her writing. Yeah, she's just phenomenal.
What would it take to get her to do something?
Um,
I mean, I guess you probably don't fully know, or else it would be happening. But
yeah, probably a gift from K Jeweler, but
oh,
I
okay,
gotta save up some money.
right, like a really fancy ass pen or something.
Yeah. Mhm. Or maybe just some uh I don't know, bacon wrapped in
Right?
chocolate.
Ooh, yeah, I feel you there. Um, so we're at that hour where we're gonna wind down. Is there anything you wanted to mention before we kind of head out for the night? It went way too quick.
Um yeah, if you're interested in the books, yeah, just please pick up some, let me know. Or if nothing else, just please follow me.
Yeah,
Social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is the central point for everything. At Jericho Projects. You can see what we're doing and occasionally just see what I'm doing. Um, but yeah, just follow us and keep up.
cool. Thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate you, hon. Yeah, no, dude, he's got oh, he asked if do you have your own podcast?
No, I do not.
No, but I've seen you on a bunch recently.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been on some I've been invited to, a lot I've invited myself to.
you have to.
Yeah.
You really do. You're like seriously. Anyone who's like, no one's asking me to be on their show. Yeah, you're right. Of course they're not. So
No.
go and I tell people all the time. Look, there are too many people out there, and I mean I'm at like I think this is episode 67, and I've only had a couple people on more than once. I try not to because again it's an interview
Hmm.
show. We want to learn more about people and whatnot. There's always more to learn, but I didn't want to do it too often. I want to get as many new interesting people as we could on here. So yeah, I mean, go if you want to be on someone's show, just go ask. Or you could do a panel show. Yeah, that's right. And Steph's really good at those guys. So if you have a panel show out there, go ask Steph. That's his favorite thing. He fucking hates it, but he'll do it because he's just like the rest of us. He needs the fucking exposure, and he's a meteor like all of us. So get him on panel shows. Yes. Um. Yeah. Any final words, Adrian, before we head out? I know that Paul Bucket Paul said I'm definitely going to buy some of your books, so that's great.
Thank you, my
We
brother.
got,
I appreciate it.
I think you'll. I
Definitely.
really, honestly, as someone who has read a bunch of his books, I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, I hope you do. And yeah, just definitely give feedback. And if you follow me on Instagram, I will probably follow you back. So hey, I
Sweet.
hope y'all out too.
Cool. Well, Adrian, I really appreciate you coming out, man. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it, Chuck.
I'm glad to do it, man. We'll do it again because I feel like we only scraped the bottom of the barrel. Like there was so much other stuff that I thought we could talk about, but I like where we went. So
Hmm.
we're gonna have to do it again.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thanks to all of the people that watched.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
We loved having you on. You were a big help, so thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr.
Uh,
Rasara.
You're very welcome, hon. Much
Thank you,
love to
Miss
all of you
Terry.
guys. Yeah, absolutely. So many of you guys. You guys have been a great crowd tonight. We really appreciate you. I will be back here next week. I don't remember who my guest is, but I know that we have lots of amazing guests coming up soon. I actually have Matt Hawkins coming up, I think next month. So yeah, we've got lots of amazing people. So excited to be doing this. Yeah, Brian, good to see you
Thanks,
too,
Brian.
homie.
Thank you, Brian.
Much love to all you guys. Thank you so much. Peace, love, and comics. And my name is Chuck, and I give a fuck. Take care, everybody.